And we are taking you up to the start for the women's 8. Remember that men's singles race was delayed, so we are not going to see the end of the Italian national anthem. Here is the start list for the women's 8s. France, Canada, USA, Great Britain, Germany, and on the outside lane have
the crew from, this is France, new crew here, and they are racing right beside the Canadians with several bronze medalists from 2 years ago coming back into the 8. And here, one of the favorites, silver medal last year, the United States of America. And right beside the USA, we find Great Britain, again, the defending champions in this boat class.
Liv Hill in the stroke seat, 21-year-old for the North of England, Warrington. And I think we've missed the Germans in lane 4. But that was the Czech crew there, Simona Pavlikova. Really her big challenge. There she is at bow, just looking across of the Czechia boats. Her big challenge is staying consistent through being tired and through times where I don't know how to combine my school rowing. And so many times we see that as a challenge these athletes face. You can see the rowers on the starboard side, that's how the Americans would say it, or the bow side is how I would say it in English. They're having to keep the boats sort of moved over because the northerly wind is blowing them towards the camera, basically. And it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, I think, to get these boats off straight.
Yeah, and especially also for the umpire, making sure all these crews are aligned properly, because at some venues you have a plastic clog which sort of keeps the bow straight and true, but here on the lake we don't have that. And especially in these crosswind conditions, it's difficult to keep all the bows aligned perfectly.
Yeah, you can just see the 2-seat of the American boat, Taryn Hughes from Texas. She stopped rowing now, but you know, as soon as you stop rowing, the bows are that you've kind of got to angle them towards the north and then let them drift round back so it starts straight.
Well, they are called to attention. I'd say the babble of that GB8 is not aligned with the rest of the field. That's corrected now. Yeah.
Canada, the maple leaves, they very proudly put their maple leaves on the blades. When you get to the championships, you get to put the maple leaf on your blade, or if you're British, you get to put the Union flag on your blade.
Yeah, here we go, Canada. Yeah, that maple leaf is a special ceremony, and for most of these athletes, or some of these athletes, it will be the first time they've gone through that maple leaf ceremony.
So the two fastest 8s in the heats, USA and GBR. GBR got a little march on the start there on their rivals, the Americans. There we see the Americans blasting off. Jolie Cherness from Princeton taking a crew off. Hona Warburg in the Cox's seats, but it is the British who've got a great start. That's probably just what their coach Brian Young will have wanted. These women mostly are studying at American universities, Rutgers, Yale, Texas, Stanford. There's a couple of athletes, Anna Grace and Liv Hill, as we said, from Warrington and Durham. But a Husky in there too, and Britain doing so well to get these athletes back from America and integrate them with other athletes who've been studying in Britain. And so far, the British A are just powering away from the field team.
Yeah, it's an impressive start by Great Britain, and they're almost half a length now ahead, Martin. We're not even at 500 meters gone, but they have gone out so fast. Good start as well by Canada, currently silver medal position, and nothing to choose between Germany and the USA at the moment.
Yeah, a lot of the Canadian women are studying in the USA as well. It's only really the stroke woman, Gabriella Warbeck from University of British Columbia. They're coached by Katie Steenman, who had that Canadian pair that did so well yesterday, the Dutch photographer who now lives in Canada. And Britain going out to nearly clear water. To me, this is race done and dusted, Tim.
Yeah, because we know they have the endurance to back this up all the way across the 2,000-meter course, and they look so relaxed. 37 strokes a minute being set here by Olivia Hill in that stroke seat, and it's a really efficient rhythm. You can see it here from these drone pictures. You can see it by the graphic as well. They're quickest boat on the water.
The only thing I'd say is that the race to the right of the British between the USA and Canada, and we know the sort of rivalry between those two nations, it might drag those two crews back up to the British. I think the Germans are in a little bit of a vacuum here on this side. Again, quite a few of those athletes have studied at at American universities.
Yeah, and here we ride with the British. What do you have to think about that blade work, Martin?
It's very, very punchy. I think they've got nice looseness on the recovery forward. I noticed about that. I think the blades are really very direct when they go in. To be honest, I'd like a little bit more pinch at the front if I was being fussy. But, you know, the power that they're generating, the amount of watts they're generating through the middle of that stroke is so impressive.
Yeah, and I also really like the way they get their blades out of the water at the end of the stroke. So they take it out of the water vertically and then feather the blades, and that gives them that very clean exit from the water, and that's taking them to almost a full length. Now, they're about to break clear water here as the American tussle with the Canadians. And here we ride with the Americans. It's a bit, well, not as polished as the crew from Great Britain, but they get great speed here.
Yeah, they do. And these crews come together quite late. Gia Doonan, of course, so experienced coaching the Americans. They're having a great battle with the German on this side, who have got through the Canadians. I saw them doing their warm-up paddle this morning. Magdalena Halle, the 20-year-old coxswain, was really bigging up the paddling, and you can see the battle there. America now strongly in silver. The battle for bronze between Canada on the left of your picture and Germany on the right. I mean, this would be a massive result for German rowing, women's rowing, if they can get on the podium here. German women's rowing really doing their best to try and rebuild, and this would be a step in the right direction, but they've got a job.
Yeah, they've got a big job to do, because Canada is basically level with Germany, as here we ride with the Canadians, and that pure grit and determination here from the Canadian women's 8 at the high rating, 38 strokes a minute, absolutely going for it. We're approaching 1,500 meters gone. GB still ahead, but look at the American bow there, Martin, creeping back up on GB. I don't think it's going to be enough, but they have certainly come closer to GB than they were a few hundred meters ago.
Yeah, and just as we looked at that, Victoria Grider, the Canadian cox from Rutgers University in the States, just urging her crew on. She'd seen the threat from the Germans to her right and closed it down. It's now Canada edging away from Germany to be sure of that podium place. America, as you said, Tim, they are moving back slowly, ever so slowly on Britain. But I think the British have got it covered. Nikita Jacobs, the Husky, so experienced in that cox's seat. Just the sort of man you want. There's Nikita with his boat in front of him, impassive. He knows the power output that they've got. I would think they're racing with the telemetry on the boat, but perfectly sinks in. I think they're rowing probably the best of all the crews in this race.
Yeah, it looks so polished, and the Americans, well, matching them for speed, but the distance from that GB bow ball, it's almost a full length as they are in the red buoy area. Just 100 meters to go here.
So Great Britain edge ever closer to another gold medal, this time in the women's 8s. They are stretching out. America closing. Germany have too much to do to get through Canada, but they are trying to get the Endspurt on the line. But as we come up to the finish, it is Great Britain who take the gold medal in the women's 8s. America settle for silver. Canada hold off the German charge. They take the bronze. Germany settled for 4th. The French, racing more than once, they were in the 4 yesterday, take 5th. And then just on this near side, the 8 from Czechia take the 6th place.
Yeah, Canadian just outside of the picture here as we see the new world champions from Great Britain. Well, just outside of the picture, the Canadian women's A chuffed with that bronze medal. Crew from the United States catching their breath.
I have to say, it's credit to Britain. They made that race boring, in as much as they went out and I thought, right, well, they're going to win. And that's exactly what their coach Brian Young would have wanted. They really dealt a big blow to the Americans in that first quarter.
Yeah, that opening 500 was so impressive, and then backing that up with, well, almost pushing to a full length at 1,000, and then race done and dusted, job done.
Completely. So, there are the Union flags and the British supporters. Big hopes for the British men in the 8th race, which will be coming down. That's our last race of the day. We have another medal ceremony before that for the men's single sculls. And another gold for Turkey.